So, did you have to pay that back, or was that just a grant, like a business grant?
It was a business grant at the time. I'm lucky enough today to be connected to the Prince's Trust as an alumni and a product of the trust, but
Yeah.
also as a patron. So, we now spend time with the next generation of youngsters who are coming through, but they've helped over 1 million young people
Yeah.
in the 40 years. So I'm just one of those, and it's been a fantastic journey. But I think what the Prince's Trust gave Simon and I, the £2,000 is important to any young person. At the time, it felt like a lot of money, but they gave us confidence. When the bank said no, they said yes, and so that was possibly more valuable to us at the time. We didn't realize it. Then sure, we could go out and buy some equipment, but it actually really kind of like projected us on our way. We just felt we were walking taller. We felt good, and someone had supported us, so we were on our way.
Yeah, I mean that's quite common in the UK. Again, like Ryan, just to give you context, is we don't really have VC money, but there was a period of time when you could get an education grant that you could survive on. It was kind of like a scholarship, but for people from low-income families, and that was quite common until like 1997, I think it was 98, was when most of those things were killed, and slowly that's all being clawed back, which is a shame because I myself is like a Prince's Trust kid, I suppose, and yeah, no, I feel those opportunities are kind of dying away.
Was the grant targeted towards like creative professionals, or could it have been like any like industry?
Any. And you could be a hairdresser. You could be a fitness coach. They cover every discipline. The theory is, disadvantaged young people who have got maybe a passion or a vision for a business, and they're there to help, and all the way through to today. So, we chose the creative kind of field because that's what we knew from art school and pavement art. But it could be anything, and I've met many trust success stories from all disciplines. They're all grown-up businesses now. Some have exited, and so on. So it's quite a book when you sit back and read all those stories.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not know that, so the context is definitely super helpful. It's a shame that the program like ended, or it's like being.
I think it still
like
exists, but
sunset.
a lot of stuff is cut back. It's like we've got in the UK, we've got a serious problem with like those fundings. Like, I mean, Prince Trust still exists, right? But is it mostly
Yeah,
voluntary?
100%. Yeah, just crossed
Oh, it still exists. Great.
20th year, and it's
Awesome.
thriving. It moves now into mentorship, education. You can find if you're a young business, it's not all about cutting a check. It's about training. Bringing real life skills to young people. Some of it they still have a business program, but it's a much broader kind of suite of offerings now to young people, which is great because not everybody wants to start a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So going from Attik, who was your first client? I'm just curious. So what was the first?
We had a meeting in the local town. I'm from Huddersfield, Yorkshire Town, and Milltown in the north of England. First of all, we needed a business card, so we started to draw Attik. Our logo. We needed a logo, right? Because everybody, it's the first thing. And we couldn't quite get the C right. I was drawing around cups and trying to get the C, and it was a bit of a disaster. So we decided to change the C to a K, knowing we could draw that with a ruler. And so we had our logo. We had our kind of first business card and a leaflet, and we went to see what we'd call almost like a second-hand dress agency, like a second-hand clothes store. Oxfam of the day, but it was an independent, and they needed a flyer. They needed something to give out. Kind of like it's used clothing, and quite honestly, that's what we wore back then. So we were customers as well as they were clients, and for us, that was that's very memorable to me because we were scrambling to draw a logo. I remember calling and saying, it's going to cost altogether, including the printing, £125 for the whole thing, and I was so nervous about telling him, and he was fine, the owner, and that was it. That was our first client, effectively.
Oh, wow. And did you just move on for local businesses there? I mean, how did you actually grow the business?
We grew the business over, so the next 5 years we were growing very, very nicely in Yorkshire and Huddersfield. Our clients across the middle, if you like, or the north of England. But I think we always had our eye on something more kind of like more youthful, more kind of like progressive. And by which time, if you recall, we invested in Apple actually before many other more professional and established agencies, because nobody really knew if it was a fad.
Yeah.
5 years in, we were on 5th or 6th generation Macs by then, so we were very well kitted out. We decided to produce our own exploratory print books called Noise, and it was an idea to invite designers, graphic designers, to just express themselves on a page, because everything was printed by then. I'm around about 92.
Yeah.
But we wanted to put things down on paper, to go down to London, to knock on the door of an MTV or a PlayStation, a music record label, effectively a cooler brand. But our portfolio in the North wasn't quite cutting it, so we created this make-believe book called Noise, which was all about pushing Photoshop, pushing some of the technology that was coming through, illustration, typography, and by mashing together maybe 15 or 20 designers, it just became this explosive kind of mini catalogue of designs. And when we knocked on the doors of, the very progressive brands like an MTV, they just felt that's what we did. That was our portfolio and our sort of glorified business card. So we started picking work up from those guys on a regular basis, and then that expanded us to London. And we started changing the direction of our agency to be a little bit more targeted towards these more youthful, progressive, visually progressive brands.
Yeah.